and all the hipsters, all the, those chubby green-haired tundra Wookiees. They want to have abortions, but no one will sleep with them. Those. You're doing it because you're a filthy communist, and you're trying to unravel our society. Yeah, baby. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a post-election episode of the Kevin Downey Jr. Show. I don't stop fighting back. Check out the shirt. Anti-communist, always have been, always will be. I wear this in honor of Commie Mom Downey. The first, well, I don't know if he's the first. I think he's the first Democratic Socialist pig to take over a major American city. A big blue toilet town, of course, because real people, real Americans would never vote for this stain. Welcome, folks. Welcome to the American First Warehouse, the most patriotic venue in the galaxy. And we've got the next hour to talk about all the things we need to talk about. How, well, look at it this way. All I've heard for a couple of years now is that Trump's going to start a war, and he's a racist, and he's a bigot. And man, oh man, we're in trouble with Trump. He's going to ruin the economy. And then they just brought in a Democratic Socialist to, well, he's a big bigot, of course, biggity, because he wants to kill the Jews, folks. He wants to kill the Jews. That is what those Islamo-commie pinkos do better. They ruin things. I was just involved in a conversation where they ruin everything. That's what they do. It's taken them 1,400 years to spread around the world and ruin every nation they get to. Everyone. They're currently sacking England, and we are next. I've been saying this for years, folks, but why would anyone listen to me? I'm just a quirky comedian who doesn't know what he's talking about. Sure, I've called every presidential race since George Bush's reelection, with the slight discrepancy of 2020, where I know I was right. Joe the Box, did they cheat in 2020?
Absolutely.
See? I told you. Joe the Box wouldn't lie.
They were cheating way before that, Kevin.
They were cheating way before that. I don't know that this nation has had an honest election in my lifetime, and I'm 59. We know Kennedy cheated. He and his dad they were really buddy-buddy with a bunch of animals, underground animals, the Capone outfit. It's organized crime. It's not the mafia, though. The mafia went to kill Capone and his outfit, and they all ended up dead of lead poisoning, if you know what I mean. And I think you do, wink, wink. So, yeah, that's the truth. The organized crime family, it's not even a family, really, just a bunch of gangsters in Chicago. They are not mafia. Mafia came to get Al Capone, and they all got shot. They all got shot. And JFK stole Illinois, actually mostly Chicago, because that's where the votes are. And if you don't believe me, you can start off by reading a book called Just Good Politics. And I can't remember the name of the cat who wrote it, but Just Good Politics talks about how the Kennedy family bought, I want to say, the state of West Virginia. Kennedy needed a primary victory, so he went to West Virginia. And I don't think he brought a lot of money. I think, well, it wasn't a Kennedy. It was one of their boys, if you know what I mean, one of their bagmen. And they dropped off $10,000. Another candidate wanted West Virginia. He only brought, I think, $4,000. You're not going to outbid a Kennedy. That's for sure. Anyway, back to it, folks. What does all this mean? Well, first and foremost, and I don't know that anyone's figured this out. We were just talking about this, too. The Democratic Party lost New York City because, granted, the guy who won is on the Democratic ticket. But what did he say in his aggressive, belligerent speech last night? He said, I am a Democratic Socialist. That's a nice way to say it. Commie, pinko, stinko. That's what he is, folks. He's an apparatchik. He's an animal, and he's here to ruin New York City. Everything he's talking about, everything, is your basic communist dogma. Is that the word I'm looking for? It's what they believe. It's what they believe. Free grocery stores. One of two things will happen. I say this as someone who, I'll tell you this. I used to be married, and my in-laws were from Poland. You want to hear stories about how wonderful communism is? Talk to a Polish person. They will tell you. Talk to someone from China. They'll tell you. All right? My former Teściowa, that's Polish for mother-in-law, Czesztova. See, you're going to learn a little Polish tonight. She told me the first time she got to these United States, she went into a grocery store and started sobbing because there was so much food, everything you wanted, under one roof. And there weren't 3-hour lines. She couldn't believe it. She said, this is what I was hoping America would be. But to see it, to behold, imagine that. Imagine growing up in a situation where you walk into a grocery store and you're so taken aback that you start to cry. Because where you're from has been ravaged, first by Nazis, then by communists. And I think they're the opposite sides of the same coin, folks. I know there's some ideological differences, but they're both filthy, subhuman trash cans. Trash can ideology. They're a bunch of diarrhea people is what they are, these communists and the Nazis. Excuse me. I hope my throat lasts. I think it will. I think it will. Now, so the Democrats, they put up a Democratic Socialist. He won. Do they think they're going to give that city back? No. Right now, I know what I'm telling you is the truth, because I read today an article. Comrade Mamdani is he's talking to Bill de Blasio, he's talking to Eric Adams, and he's talking to Michael Bloomberg, and he says, who can I get to fill these positions? Who do you guys like? We know he's not going to do that. He's going to fill it with filthy human stains, more diarrhea people like he's a diarrhea person. Well, that's what's going to happen. And how do I know? Well, I just told you. He said, I'm reaching out to all these former mayors. No, you're not. That is not what the communists do. They do not do that. They don't want to do that. He's just saying that. If this guy ever told the truth, his head would burst into flame. Burst into flame, I say. But don't trust me, folks. Keep an eye. Keep an eye out. Now, here's where it gets ugly. Well, there is good news about yesterday. There's a guy, another Democratic socialist in Minnesota who ran, and he lost. He lost to the apparatchik, the Mau Mau. I like to call them Mau Maus because, Chairman Mao, or giddy up, boom, bop, Mau Mau. I like to do that, too, because I'm an idiot. I'm telling you, folks, the guy, he lost. He lost in Minnesota. Now, don't get me wrong. The guy they have as mayor, he's he's a total toilet person. He's the one who cried. He cried on one knee at the casket of George Floyd, the golden casket. George Floyd, who died of a fentanyl overdose. But the communists in Minnesota made it look like 4 evil white cops did it, which is hilarious because one cop is black and one is Asian. Oh, you didn't see much of them in the news, did you? No, they needed a reason to burn the nation down. All right, folks? Now, remember, they don't care about George Floyd. Didn't care about him at all. Remember this, and everything will make sense. Anytime you see what the communists are up to, remember, the issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. And that's why they were burning down the big blue toilet towns throughout the nation. You'll notice they didn't burn down Detroit. Why? Well, because most of it's gone anyway. But because at the time, the police chief, James Craig, he said, get back on the buses. I'll put you in jail right now. And they went, oh, okay, guess we better go back to Chicago. We'll burn down more Chicago. What else burned, folks? Seattle, you know which towns. It's the ones we call the big blue toilet towns. They all burned because, they were allowed to burn it down. They were allowed to burn it down. One of the most insidious and evil things going on in our country is that so many judges are now fellow travelers. That's a cute way to say communists. All right? Got one here. Look at this. Let me just read. Headline, mass shooting suspect remains free on $60,000 bond as judge rejects plea to increase amount amid public outrage. Now, why did I pick this one? Well, a couple of reasons. I'll tell you why. This is in Alabama, by the way. Just when you think you're in a nice red state, not going to happen. Now, this was a big mass shooting on October 4th at there's this Morehouse-Tuskegee Classic football game. These are 2 black colleges. And, of course, the bullets were flying. The bullets were flying. Can't have a peaceful football game, without people shooting each other. It says 12 injured. 12 people were injured. All right. and they're letting this man go. Why are they doing this? Remember, mass shootings are the best friend of the communists because they're going to use them to take your guns. No, I know you weren't at the Morehouse-Tuskegee football game and you weren't perforating people, but the left loves mass shootings because that way, at the end of the year, they can say, look at all these mass shootings, school shootings, they're shooting kids. We got to take away your guns. Got to take away your guns. Folks, I can't prove what I'm about to tell you, but I've got a big hunch that the FBI knows about a lot of these mass shootings, and they do nothing to stop them. I'm not saying this one. I don't think they knew about this one. This was just your typical get-together. Hey, football game, let's ventilate one another. But I'll tell you this. There is what we call the 764 group, online animals, where they seek out young, disturbed kids, sometimes as young as 9. And they say, hey, you're 9, I'm 9 too. Send me a picture of your wiener. Because they're all pedophiles too. And what they do is they get these kids, say, well, now I got a picture of your wiener, better send me some money. Or you better go do this, videotape. I want to see a videotape of you killing a cat. And they build these kids. And you can start them at 9, 10. By the time they're 14, 15, you've convinced them, convinced this little boy that he should cut off his penis because he's trans and to go into school and shoot people because that's what they do. That's what they do. So many mass shootings committed by trans people. There are mass shootings that were not successful that you don't hear about. Because Operation Mockingbird, well, you know what that is. That's run by the CIA. They don't want you to know the truth, so they're going to hide it. I've got so much more. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just 2 entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW, making travel great again.
Hey, fellow patriots, it's Cindy Gross here, host of Right for America, from your favorite place, the America First Warehouse. You've seen me show on my show so many products from this country's #1 most patriotic manufacturer with close to 400 products. You need to exchange the products you use in your house to this company and make your dollars count in our country.
All right, live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Back at it, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned, a judge just let a mass shooting suspect go. Why would that be? Well, probably because of his skin tone. He does not fit the mold. He is not a peckerwood in a MAGA cap like myself. Peckerwood's a funny word for a redneck. I'm not really a redneck per se, but I would say I'm trailer park adjacent. Never lived in one, but I've spent hundreds, if not 1,000 or so nights. My parents lived in one for the remaining 20-some years of their lives. So when I speak trailer, believe me, I understand the language. Look at this. This comes from a friend of mine. Oh wait, actually, let's finish this. What do you call it? The mass shooting thing. Now, this person's being left out of jail because of their skin color. Because someone told this apparatchik judge, well, there's too many black men in prison because of systemic racism, so we got to let him go. Excuse me, got to let him go. He shot 14 people. 14 people over what? A football game? Okay. Well, clearly, this man has no mental problems at all. Let him out. Let him out. But what they're really doing, folks, they want this guy to shoot more people. They want him to shoot more people because they want more gun stats, more shootings. That way they can say, man, oh man, look at all these shootings. We better take away your guns, you peaceful Second Amendment loving Americans. We'd better take your guns. That's what this is for. Nothing else. Nothing else. This were me, I'd be in jail. I'd be in the hoosegow right now. But they're doing this. The left does this because they want as many gun deaths or shootings, whatever you want to call it, as possible. That's how they get your guns. It worked in Australia, 1996. Excuse me, 32 people shot. Maybe it was 32 people killed, more shot. I don't remember. And they said, man, oh man, we better take your guns away, folks. You can't be trusted. We're doing it for the people. And then what? What did we see during COVID? Australia came down harder than almost any other nation. I watched the cops pepper blast a woman in her mid-70s, push her down, and the cop turns around and gives another little blast to the face. You never know. Now, Grandma Dynamite could have come up swinging. Could have come up swinging, so he had to blast her twice. That is what happens. Now, I want to tell you about this. Oh, here's something on Facebook from a friend of mine who's Jewish. Jewish, she says, never been happier to live. She says in Long Island, it's on. Never been happier to live on Long Island and not New York City. Now, hold on. You can't just say that. She writes after that, the reason I don't like him, talking about Commie Mom Downey, has nothing to do with Trump or that he's a Muslim. It has to do with me being scared for what will happen to me and my family being Jewish. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. Well, why are you afraid of what he's going to do to your family for being Jewish? Because he's a Muslim and they live to kill you. But she can't come out and say that because somebody is going to go, you're so Islamophobic. You're so Islamophobic. And look at this. Look at this. Someone says this. Someone says, can you explain your point instead of speaking in riddle and hyperbole? I've seen way too much racism this morning to handle. So someone is already calling her a racist because there's a man whose Bible tells him to kill her, who is now in charge of one of the biggest cities in the world. She has every right to be afraid. Anti-Semitism is all over the place, all right? New York does nothing to stop it. There were big riots up at Columbia University. How many people were convicted? One, maybe, if that. I don't think anyone was. The school let the riots happen. The cops were told to stand down. And if someone was arrested, the charges were dropped by the DA, that's District Attorney, Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg, who just got reelected because he loves anti-Semitism. He loves violent anti-Semitism. And that's what the New World Order loves too. See that? He's working for them. He's working for them. He's making money on the side somewhere too. You'll notice Alvin Bragg, very quiet lately. He's watching. He's watching what's going on with Letitia James. He sees her in Trubs. I promise you, as sure as the sun will rise, ladies and gentlemen, that Alvin Bragg is making money probably illegally, if not immorally and illegally. And he knows he's going to get caught. But they just re-elected him. This is the guy that lets criminals go. This is the guy that tried to put Daniel Penny in prison for protecting a subway car full of people from a urine-soaked crazy man, a crazy homeless man, covered in his own filth, I'm sure, as most of them are. I've been on a subway 1,000 times. And some crazy homeless guy goes like, give me $1, I'm gonna put my toes in your mouth, whatever they're gonna do. They're horrible, filthy creatures. And he accidentally choked this guy out. I'm sure you remember. And what happened? Alvin Bragg tried to put him in jail. That's the one I'm gonna put in jail. That's the one right there. Okay, sure. A guy, a black gentleman, started a fight with a bodega owner, a Hispanic man, and big fight ensued. And the guy, the bodega owner guy, he had to defend himself. So what he did, he pulled out a box cutter and he slashed the guy. And he had to do it, and he went to jail at first, and everyone went crazy, so they let him out. But the guy, the attacker's girlfriend, stabbed the bodega owner in the arm. Never even arrested. That's the way it works, folks. That's the way it works. George Soros, he's evil. He's so many levels of evil. And what he did, he set up, I think, 76 DAs and attorneys general and whatnot around the nation. And you can figure out where they are. Larry Krasner in Philly, he just got reelected. Someone did the math and said because of people he's let out, 75 people have been murdered because of what he is doing. 75 people who would be alive today who are not because of Larry Krasner. Most of them black. Hey, I thought Black Lives Matter. Well, not to the left. They always say that, but they never mean it. They never, ever mean it. Now, here's a fun stat. Excuse me. Some of you have heard it before. And if you haven't, you can look this up. Do the math I did. I found, it was just a calculator, really, in a couple minutes on the internet, that BLM's, defund the cops and cashless bail, those things, it resulted in a crime wave starting in 2020. And the murder rate went up 30% for most people, 33% for black folks. And it continued into 2021, 2022, 2023. Started to slow down at the end of 2023. But they know how many people they expect to die. Black, white, Hispanic, whatever. They know how many will be murdered. And an extra 6,000 black people have been murdered since the summer of love, where they're letting bad people out of jail, keeping them out with cashless bail. An additional, I think 6,400 black people have been murdered. How many people did the Klan kill since 1865? About 4,400. That's an extra 2,000 something. Wow. In 3.5 years. The Democrats did that, folks. Well, the communists did it, but they have the Democrats on their side. They got the Democratic Socialists on their side. I'm not kidding you. BLM's ideals, the Democrats' ideals, have resulted in an additional 6,500 black people murdered, mostly men, because they won't keep people in jail. Well, what about this guy, KDJ, the mass shooter? He shot 14. No, you're missing the point. The issue is never the issue, folks. The issue is always the revolution. And why can't they have their little commie revolution here in these United States? The Second Amendment. First Amendment helps too, of course. But they're working on that. Remember when they said, Trump's a tyrant, he's a king? All right, Trump's a king. Who was it that sent all the alphabet agencies into Twitter, Facebook, and stupid social media joints and said, we want you to censor all the people saying the things we don't like, real dangerous things. Like what, take over the nation? No. Now, masks don't work. I got to censor him. Hey, I don't think this COVID came from a bat. I think it came from a lab. I think they call it gain of function. Well, you got to cancel that guy. Censor him, cancel him. That was Joe Biden, folks. That was the closest we've come to tyranny. And as someone who was almost a victim of that tyranny, allegedly I was somewhere near the Capitol on January 6th, as you know. That one hits home. This tyranny from these animals, you can't say that. Remember the Ministry of Disinformation? That's right out of some Orwellian book, man. And that's all Joe Biden. That's all New World Order. That's all the Islamo-commie replacements right there. That's all. Folks, how many Americans are moving into Middle Eastern Muslim countries? Very few. Very few. I've never heard anyone say, man, all this freedom's starting to annoy me. I better get on over to Sudan. I better look into moving to Chad. See if I like Chad a little better. It's not the way it works. Now, some people say, KDJ, why are they coming here? Why don't they just live there and we'll live here and peace goes? No. their Quran, this is their Bible, will not allow them to do that. They need to end Western civilization. So you've got the jihadi daddies, they want to end Western civilization. And you've got the communists, they want to end it. Well, they're made to be partners. The one thing they have in common is they both want to eradicate Western civilization. Because they're evil people. They're evil, evil people. Did you know that more than 50% of the what do they call them in England? Asylum seekers. More than 50% don't work. They're paid to stay home and make babies. That's how they're going to win, folks. Demographics wins every time. You can have the best army in the world, but if you've only got a 1 million man army and you're facing 80 million people, you're going to lose. I don't care how good your guns and your planes are, you're going to lose. I read a book from 2005 called America Alone by Mark Stein. He's a genius. He's great. And I highly recommend the book, but that was 20 years ago now. And everything he said would happen is happening. Everything. He said there's going to be a stockpiling of Muslims coming into the U.S. Here they are. They've taken over Michigan. They've taken over Minnesota. They're working on Texas. Someone got wise and said, if we get Texas, we bring down the Republican Party and we bring down the United States. Because Democrats are not Americans anymore. They're a bunch of pukes. They're a bunch of unpatriotic buckets of vomit. Well, that's what they are. And they're here to tear it all down. But we're not going to let that happen here in the Kevin Downey Jr. Show. Not today, Satan. Sorry, demons. We fight. We fight on. Ladies and gentlemen, we're halfway done. That means we got halfway to go. Hold on.
Have you noticed your money just doesn't stretch like it used to? Your paycheck feels lighter, and your savings aren't growing. The culprits? Inflation and increased money supply. They've both been quietly eating away at your purchasing power for years. Today, the dollar's value has dropped significantly. You feel it every time you spend money on goods and services. Back in 1965, $1 or an ounce of silver could buy you a gallon of milk. Fast forward to today. That same dollar barely buys a couple of coffee creamers, while an ounce of silver would get you 8 gallons of milk. Gold and silver have held their value for centuries. If you had 2,500 ounces of silver back in 1965, you could buy a brand new Ford Mustang. Today, 2,500 ounces of silver would buy you 2 Mustangs. Similarly, in the year 2000, 628 ounces of gold would buy a new $170,000 home. Today, 628 ounces would buy you a $2,500,000 home. The problem? 95% of Americans don't own physical gold or silver. They think it's too complicated and too expensive, but it doesn't have to be. We offer a membership program that allows you to buy gold or silver with as little as $1. You can buy fractional amounts, safely vault them, or have them delivered to your doorstep. And you can liquidate them whenever you want at the highest buyback price in the industry. Ready to protect your wealth and keep your purchasing power? Scan the QR code or go to tafw.soundmoney.com to learn more.
Live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
It's me, Joe the Box, and I'm John the Blanket with the America First Podcast.
That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino podcast coming to you from the America First Warehouse.
Welcome to Right for America. Issues that unite, don't ignite.
I'm James Justice. We got Stephen Ruth over here. What are we doing, Steve? Fighting! Welcome to the Patriots Podcast. Good evening, everyone. We live stream every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. right here from the America First Warehouse, the most patriotic venue in all the land.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Welcome to Liberty's Cage, the podcast tearing down the walls of America's broken justice system.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. podcast. Be free, stay free.
Welcome to Suffocating in Suburbia with me, your host, Stevie GB.
Yeah, baby. Man, I got to tell you, folks, it really steams my clams that a friend of mine who's Jewish said, well, I'm glad I'm not in New York. Someone said, oh, I hope you're not going to be racist. Hope you're not going to be racist. That's the social conditioning. That's the social conditioning meant to get people to just peacefully walk into their own extinction. Well, at least I'm not a racist. I'm not going to mention who is behind 88% of the world's terror attacks because that would make me Islamophobic. We're not going to mention who's behind the rape epidemic of Western Europe. I say epidemic because when 6% of the population is causing 54% of the gang rapes, well, by God, that's an epidemic. In England, most of the time, you don't go to jail. Just say, well, the guy, I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen. The guy goes, I'm from Syria. We have Sharia law. I didn't know you can't hold a 13-year-old girl down and rape her. I didn't know that. It's not my fault. And the judge, who's also a big old stinky globalist, goes, that's right. He had no idea. Let him go. And what do you think he's going to do? Well, he's going to do it again. And that's part of the plan. I hate to say it. It's disturbing to even say it. But sexual assault is a huge part of conquering another society, another civilization. It just is, and it's horrible, and I hate that it is, and I hate to say it, but that is the truth. And that's why it's all over Western Europe. And people didn't want to talk about it. Oh, I don't want to be an Islamophobic. I don't want to be an Islamophobe. So what happened afterwards is the police said, well, we can't arrest them, and we're going to look quite racist if we're arresting the rapists, 85% of whom are Pakistani Muslims. So they let it continue. Girls as young as 11. One woman raped, roughly, she lost count, 150 times, she thinks. Another one had 6 abortions as she was being attacked again and again. Of course, threatened, if you tell anybody, we're going to burn down your house with your family in it. And one animal did. So the woman went to the cops, and he found out because they went to talk to him. Never put him in jail, so he burned the house down. She survived. Her sister and her mother did not. All right? But we can't talk about that. Can't talk about protecting women and kids. Cannot do it. Something similar is happening here with those coming over the border. So many women and children have been sexually assaulted, raped, murdered. But when you mention it, they go, whoa, racist much down? No. Folks, you don't have to buy into the social conditioning that tells you to shut up and die. You don't have to do that. In fact, I'd say if you're doing that, you're probably a fairly weak, pathetic person who'd rather, I don't want people to call me a name. Just keep raping my mom. Go ahead, sexually assault my sister. Go ahead, she's cute. And I don't want to say anything because you're going to call me names. Well, England just upped the ante about a year ago. If you mention it on social media, if you say, hey, what's with all these rapes? Looks like it's 85% Pakistani Muslims, which it is. Well, you go to jail. You go to jail. You see how they're working this worldwide. Worldwide, folks, or at least in Western civilization. Shouldn't say worldwide because no one cares what goes on in Syria. They do whatever they want there. They do whatever they want. It's Western civilization. They invade, they get paid to exist, and they have lots of babies. There's a great video. I think I played it once, where a guy says, in Detroit, that's where I'm from, you've got a Muslim guy, and he's got 3 wives, and he buys 3 houses in the neighborhood where I grew up. You can buy the house I grew up in for $500. You have to refurbish it because it's hollow, but you get them for nothing. And I'd say at the block I grew up on, say 65, 70% of the houses are gone. Let's say there's 7 left. He'll buy 3. Now it's pretty much his block. It's pretty much his block. And his friend buys 3 on the next block. And then they take over a neighborhood that way. Then they go for the schools. They go to the school board, say, man, there's a lot of us. We want on the school board. And they vote themselves in. And then, well, we're going to teach Islam here. Islam. There's a school in Ohio It's backed by the Board of Education of Ohio, and they're teaching Quran memorization classes, all right? Quran memorization classes in Ohio. And they're sanctioned by the Ohio Department of Education. Folks, now's the time to do something, not when our replacements are 15% of the country. It's all over. Once they hit 12, 50%, that's it. All gone. And now they're focusing on Texas. They wanted to build their own super city in Texas. Some of us call that a 15-minute city. That would be all Muslims, no one allowed if you're not Muslim. We call that now a no-go zone. It's a no-go zone. Got them all over. Talking to my friend's dad who lives in Sweden. And I said, is it true about these no-go zones? He goes, 100% true. 100% true. And I said, these sexual assault stats. He goes, 100% true. Everyone knows who it is, but everyone has been terrified into speaking out. If you say that, well, that makes you Islamophobic. We're going to fire you. We're going to put you in jail. Like in England, putting people in jail for memes. There was a brutal murder. A guy of Rwandan descent decided he was going to kill 3 little British girls, stabbed them to death. They were at some dance party, and he had to kill them. And people went nuts. He said, that's it. And they said, these illegal immigrants, turns out he was born there. His parents were illegal immigrants. He was 19. He was born there 19 years ago. And they said, look at these far-right racists. These far-right racists, they're calling him an illegal immigrant. He was born here. Okay, so he was born here, and he was taught to hate Westerners, and he killed 3 little girls. He's a big, tough guy, stabbed them to death. And people lost their marbles. And they went to the local hotel that was putting them up for free. And they have on video a 13-year-old girl kicking the door of the hotel. It was locked. No one was hurt. She got arrested. She ended up in court, and the judge said, well, I can't put you in jail. You're too young. But when you turn 16, you do this again. What you did was so serious. Well, what about the 3 dead little girls? Can't talk about that. That's verboten. Can't talk about that. Let's get back on to, I want to give you some stats here because I'm a stats guy. Mass shootings for the year, folks. 368. Remember, they were saying it's a mass shooting, gun epidemic, gun violence epidemic. Then why do they keep letting people out who commit crimes? Not all people. People of a certain pigmentation, so we say, they keep getting out because they are responsible for most of the shootings, and they want the shootings to continue. Now, for those of you who appreciate the Second Amendment, like me, how many defensive uses have there been? Defensive gun uses this year? Well, hold on. Let's see, mass shootings, I said 368. Defensive gun uses in 2025 thus far, 992. 992 times people defended themselves with a gun. Now, those are the ones we know. Because let's face it, if there's some guy lurking around your property, and you go outside, you've got your shotgun, maybe you've got a nice Remington 8, is it 870? I think that's a good one. And you say, get off my hippity-hoppity, get off my property. We got a sign here at the American First Warehouse that says that, hippity-hoppity, get off my property. Well, that you could say is a defensive gun use. But the cops don't know about that one. The cops don't know. The only ones they know about are when the cops are called. So this 900, what did I say, 992? It's probably, you could probably add a couple hundred more. We'll never know. We'll never know. And remember, the Second Amendment isn't about protecting yourself or hunting elk. It's about taking down a tyrannical government. And who wants to take away your guns, folks? Well, people who are afraid that you're going to shoot them because they want to do something so evil that you're going to want to shoot them. Now, I'm not recommending you shoot anybody. That's a bad day. I met a guy, he owns a gun shop in Michigan. He was involved in a defensive shooting, and the guy lived. It's in a small town where the guy knew everybody. So they arrested the good guy, the guy I was talking to. Even he didn't start the fight. He ended it. And they tried to put him in prison twice. And then the guy tried to sue him civilly. He lost all 3 times, but the guy goes, I spent, I think, what do you say? What do you say about $80,000 over 12 years? $80,000 over 12 years paying for lawyers. Because this guy tried to send him to prison twice. He knew the local DA, whatever he knew. I don't know. I don't recall. Then tried to sue him civilly. That didn't work. But my point is, don't shoot someone unless you really have to. Unless you really have to. But the people who are taking away your guns are the people who are most likely wanting to hurt you. And that's why. That's why they want to take it away. You never see Republicans going, yeah, we should take your guns. If you do, that means they're working for China with the Democrats. And I can tell you right now, who's working for China? I know for a fact Mitch McConnell is working for China. Mitch McConnell, his wife is from China, and the Chinese handed her a shipping company. Said, hey, you want to go into the shipping business? And they were like, well, we don't own any ships. Well, we'll front you some. Well, we don't have the money to pay for this. Well, you can pay us later. And that shipping company made Mitch McConnell and his family rich. So now Mitch McConnell has to do what China tells him to do. Mitch McConnell has been called to China 3 times, maybe 4. I forget. Because they said, we don't like what you're saying on the news. So you're going to stop saying that. And they own him. They own him like they own the Biden family. I promise you, folks, Mitch McConnell cannot. Look at the guy's a statue. He's a statue. He just stands there and appeases himself. And he won't resign. Why? Because China owns him. You don't get to resign. China owns you. That's why, what's her face? Skeletor, the senator in California, Diane something. What the hell? I can't remember her name right now. She looked like Skeletor. She had what's that? What? Diane, what is it? Feinstein. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Diane Feinstein. You saw her. She looked like Skeletor. She had an eye popped out. She was being pushed around. Well, why didn't she just resign and go live her life and, hang out with the grandkids? Well, because China owned her. China owned her. She didn't have the luxury of resigning. Mitch McConnell doesn't have the luxury of resigning. Pelosi, on the other hand, well, she's filthy too. But what did she do? She swiped her money in stocks. I'm not saying she didn't work for China at some point. I promise you she did at some point, because I heard her say that China is the epitome of what she democracy or something insane. Something insane. That's why. Oh, hold on, folks. We got another one. Another segment. Stick around.
You've worked hard and saved, but inflation and increased money supply are eroding your buying power. Protect and grow your wealth with physical gold and silver. Sound Money. With a Sound Money wallet, your wealth stays in your control. Buy fractionally, vault securely, ship directly, and instantly liquidate your gold and silver at the highest buyback price in the industry. Real money, real ownership. Visit tafwsoundmoney.info or scan the QR code and start securing your financial future today.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
All right, live from Studio 6B on a Friday night, live at the America First Warehouse. Live at the America First Warehouse on a Friday, Real America's Voice, all across the country, 103.9 LI News Radio, all across your radio, Suffolk County, Long Island. Glad you're in.
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Whoa, folks, the final segment of the day. Boo! I'm having fun. I don't want to go. I want to keep opening my big mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, I have, let me tell you that. I write for pjmedia.com. You can go to pjmedia.com right now. You can click on authors, because I'm an author. I like the sound of that. And you click on my mug, you'll see all the stories I've written, over 1,000 over the past few years. Now, this one is called Election Day Fallout, Democrats Are Animals. All right? And I'm talking about how it is that Mom Downey won, and some other people, how they won. Keep in mind, man, the new Attorney General for Virginia is a guy, keep in mind, he's the top law enforcement guy there now, or he will be when he gets sworn in. And he was talking about how much he'd like to kill his political opponents and their little fascist kids, too, because they raise them as fascists. You got to kill them. And he was going to pee-pee on their grave. I'm going to pee-pee on their grave, these little fascists that I'm going to kill. There you go. There you see you all later.
Is it illegal to be an elected official?
Well, that's what she's saying, but I'm also hearing that she's lying. She's not illegal, but this is in Minnesota, where illegals are taking over everything. So now it's just a big, I don't know what, it's a mystery, Scooby. We got to get to the bottom of this in our mystery machine. See you later. See you later. That's Joe the Box and Tony taking off, folks. Now, look at this. Look at this, folks. The Attorney General, he's going to be in charge of who goes to jail and who doesn't. Well, let me tell you what's about to happen in the state of Virginia. You know how I opened the show by saying that some apparatchik judge let a mass shooter go? He shot 14 people. 14, and he was shooting indiscriminately. He could have hit more. I'm surprised he only hit 14. There was a big party, a big football thing going on, and he shot 14. They let him go. Well, that's what this clown, John Roy, is going to do in Virginia. Why are they doing this? Because what better way to take down a society, folks, than to bring in a bunch of crime? And that's what they're doing. And the Democrats have been doing it for generations. All right? Yep, we're going to play that game again. You pick a big blue toilet town, and I'll tell you how long it's been since they've had a Republican mayor. Let's start with Detroit, 1962. That's easy. I'm from there. Philly, 1967. Chicago, 1933 or 31, I forget. Milwaukee, 1908. Kansas City, 1949. And these are killing grounds. These are all killing grounds, folks. Memphis, one of the most dangerous towns in the world, never had a Republican mayor. Washington, D.C., back in the 50s, as I recall. New Orleans hasn't had a Republican mayor since did I say 19? I meant to say 1872. Might even be 1871. I don't recall. But I'm pretty close on these things. I'm telling you, folks, the destruction is intentional. They're purposely driving these big blue toilet towns into dust because you need people scared. You need people financially struggling. And when things can't get any worse, the population goes, somebody help us. And the communists go, we're here to help you. We will give you food. We will give you protection. We will give you health care. We'll give you a place to live. The food's not going to be what you want to eat, and the health care is going to suck. But it's better than what it was, right? Capitalism was so dangerous, and blah, 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 blah. We're here to help you. We're communists. Ladies and gentlemen, the history of communism is a bunch of malcontents, a bunch of people who don't want to work, a bunch of lazy losers going, man, the government owes us. They should pay for everything. And then they go, okay, let's do it. And then you've got a problem. Because when everything you own comes from the government owns you. All right? We're kind of mad at you. KDJ, did you really go to Twitter and say, men can't have babies? Oh, man, you stupid Trumper. That's it. Check your ESG score, your environmental and social governance. Says here that you've dropped below the points you need. That means you're a bad person. You don't get meat for a month. And we're going to fine you with you've got digital currency. We're going to fine you. We just took 500 digital dollars away, leaving you with $17.48 to survive for the next month. No cash allowed. We can't have you buying things. Folks, here's what I don't get. All right? Commie Mom Downey took over New York City. You know who voted for him overwhelmingly? Well, that would be the District of 1 AOC. That's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Voted overwhelmingly. Keep in mind, her neighborhoods in Queens, it's Corona, Elmhurst, I think East Elmhurst. She's got a handful. This is where the open-air markets are. This is where you used to have a nice working-class neighborhood. Everyone had a job. Kids kids could walk to school. Kids running around after school. Now, what happens is so many of those stores have been robbed out of existence. And the people go in, they say, hey, it's really hot out. I bet someone's going to buy a ceiling fan if I go steal the ceiling fan. And they steal the ceiling fan, then they run halfway down the block, and they sell it. And that's in the daytime. Guess what they're selling at night, ladies and gentlemen? Bow, chicka, bow, wow. That's right. Drugs and prostitutes. They're selling prostitutes there. Oh, I'm sorry, you got to say sex worker, because you have to make it all normal. You have to make it all, you can't say anything about the sex workers. They want this to be normalized. So now, if you live in AOC's district, there's a pretty good chance your son is going to school and basically having the same POV, that's point of view, as your local gynecologist, because these ladies aren't wearing much out there, I'll tell you that. And between the prostitutes and the drug dealers, well, just imagine being a 16-year-old boy, and you're like, whoa, oh my God, everything is right here. Where do I get the money for that? I better start stealing. One of the cruelest things the Democrats have done under Joe Biden is they let people shoplift $950 to $1,000 per day. So that means, let's say you're 14 years old when Joe Biden got into office. And you started stealing and started selling it. You can sell it on eBay, you can sell it to your neighbors, whatever you want. That's all you know. 4 years, you went from 14 to 18, stealing and selling. There will come a time when this is no longer allowed. And those kids who are now 18, they don't know any other life. They've never had a job. They're making mad stacks by stealing. Well, those kids are going to jail. They're 18 now. They're not kids. They're going to jail because you can't maintain that. The other side of the mass shoplifting, and look how, man, they really slow-boiled us. We're having a conversation where it's normal to steal $950 worth of swag and not go to jail. How did we get here? How is society not appalled? Well, you can't mention that because of who's doing the stealing. You silly racist. Just shut up and take it. Don't talk about the prostitutes. They're sex workers. Many of them are here illegally. Don't be a bigot. I know it's tearing down the fabric of our civilization, of our civil society, shall we say. Don't talk about it. We were frightened into shutting up and taking it and just walking into our own extinction. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I know someone, a friend of mine, he's a gay man, and he was crossing 42nd Street at 10th Avenue. It might have been 43rd, I forget. And he sees what he's telling me. He's telling me the story. He goes, I saw a scary-looking black guy. And I thought, well, I better cross the street. And then he says to himself, in his mind, he goes, my God, how racist of me. It's just not me. I'm a liberal. So he walks past the guy. And about 10 feet beyond the guy, when he's in a shadow, the guy puts a gun to the back of his head and says, give me your wallet. You, an F word for a homosexual. And my friend, he's paralyzed with fear, as you would be. And then he says, the weirdest part is I was like, how does he know I'm gay? I guess he doesn't really look gay. I mean, I know what gay looks like, kind of like me, well coiffed. I'm not gay. But I play one on TV. No, but his social conditioning almost got the back of his head blown off because he was told he can't think that way. And that's how people are dying. And that's how a society, that's how Western civilization will die, all right? Now, I've always said what's going on in England is always like 3 to 5 years ahead of us. Well, you watch. Let's see who's getting arrested for memes this time next year. Because in London, they elected a mayor, Sadiq Khan. And what is London now? It's like Sasquatch's armpit. It's just disgusting. It's filthy. There's crime all over. Sex crimes, a lot of those. They don't clean up much there anymore. It's really putrid. It's really filthy. And that's what's coming here. It's already begun. It's already begun. The judges are letting people go over there in Europe. Same thing here. Now, this really steams my clams. I told you that the Islamic commies are working on Texas. A couple weeks ago, there's an outdoor baseball, I would hope so. I guess they're probably indoor somewhere. But a baseball complex for kids. And there's a team saying some prayers before like a big championship game or something. And then you just hear pop, 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 pow. Bullets all over. It's raining lead. It's not raining men this time. It's raining lead. And the coach gets hit. Down he goes. And the kids scatter. How this isn't huge news, I don't know. I wrote about it at PJ Media. Check it out. It's worth reading. And the one I was talking about, how did New York go for this? All right. Do you remember this horrible story last year? An illegal immigrant snatches a couple of 13-year-olds. One's a girl, one's a boy. Ties them together. Rapes the girl. And then now it gets, as if that isn't sick enough, he's telling the cops, well, once I was comfortable, I started to videotape the assault. He's in Corona, Queens. They call him Corona Man. Corona, Queens man arrested. He wasn't a Corona, Queens man. He was here illegally in Corona. That neighborhood just voted overwhelmingly for more crime. More crime. Why is that? Well, because, we MAGA types are a bunch of racists. You can't vote for our side. You can't vote for a Republican. And yes, he did win by going after Trump. So did that Mikey Sherrill chick in Jersey. It's an easy sell. Going after Trump to a bunch of blue people, a bunch of blue-haired Gorgons who vote Democrat, easy sell. And even though they didn't say what you're going to do, well, Mikey Sherrill says he's going to invade the homeschoolers and make sure they learn LGBT FBI classes. They're here to take over, folks. Last night, bad night. But it's not over. We will win. You watch. We've got Jesus on our side. Be well. See you next time. Be free, stay free.